Hello everybody, this is Steve at Sparky's Answers. Been a while since I've done a video, but getting back in the swing of things a little bit. And today I'm working on a 2003 F150 with gauge problems, intermittent starting problems, and power window problems. Anyways, I got partway into the diagnosis of it and decided, well, this might be a good one to do a video on. Get back in the groove of things. Let's take a quick look at what I've seen. Now what we have here is the instrument cluster. Key is on right now, but the vast majority of the instrument cluster is dead. You can see over in the corner that the battery and airbag lights are on, but everything else is in op. And I've got this part way taken apart so I can get to the wiring in the back, and then I realized I should do a video on it. Some of the more interesting things about it, other than the fact that it's broke, is the power windows also don't work. But if you take and run the dome light switch all the way up and turn the dome lights on like this, the gauges go back to working. Everything lights up and the power window works. So let's go a little bit deeper in this thing and see exactly what's going on. I'm going to pull the cluster out, and we're going to do some testing behind the cluster for powers and grounds. All right, the cluster's out, and I'm looking at the diagram. I got my little made-up test light. Puts a heavier load on the circuit so you can tell if you got a weak power or ground. And like I said, looking through the wiring diagrams, I realized that terminals 1 and 2 of the connector, one is a black wire, the other one is a red and light green wire. The black wire obviously should be ground, and the red and light green wire should be positive. And there's the connector with the two wires in it. And there's my wires jumped into there, and it's lit up nice and bright. So we got good power and ground there. Now what I want to do is go over to the other connector and locate the pink wire with the orange stripe, which is right there, and see if we have a ground on it. And I'm going to leave my other end connected to the power wire in the opposite plug, seeing how we know we got power there. And I'm sitting here all jumped out, and we have no power. Now I'm going to turn that dome light switch back on and see what we got. I'm going to have to set the phone down for a minute so I can turn the switch on. And now we have power. And I'm pretty sure I see what the problem is. I don't think you should be able to see the ground through that hole. You see my foot right there? That's on the outside of the truck. And if we go further in here, you'll see, I think that's the ground. I'm gonna have to strip the tape off it to see if it's the right color wire, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be. And lo and behold, there's the wire. So I guess we're gonna have to knock that ground loose, clean it up real good, and then find someplace else to attach it. Be back in a minute. Yeah, I believe that's gonna be the problem. I was trying to take the screw loose and wasn't having much luck, and I just tugged on the wire and the whole metal plate and everything pulled out. So, like I said, I got to finish getting that apart, get it all cleaned up, and find a new place to secure it. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm going to extend the wires out. It was two 14 gauge wires, so what I did is I stripped them both back, and I had to go back about 2 inches or so to get the good clean wire. So I went ahead and joined them together and brought them into one 10 gauge wire, and I'm going to extend this out and tie it into a good ground somewhere other than the factory location, seeing how that place doesn't exist anymore. Okay, now I got it all crimped back together, heat shrink over it. I'm going to just dress it up with a little bit of tape to back tape the two wires to the original tape. That'll help keep any moisture from getting down in it, even though the heat shrink I use has an adhesive sealer in it. Now I've got all my wire repair done, right size terminal in there, bolt ready to go. And what I do, this is a 10 gauge wire, but I used an 8 gauge ring terminal with a slightly larger hole, so there's enough meat for there to be that screw to catch a decent ground when it attaches to it. I don't like real thin terminals because when you have a thin terminal, when you go to tighten it down, it tends to want to rotate, and when it rotates, it'll kind of halfway cock and tear, and it just weakens it, and you wind up having problems. But anyways, this one's fixing to go back together. And there we go, a nice secure ground wire setup. I don't think that'll give any more trouble, but they're going to have to work on getting this body fixed. I decided to check the grounds behind the right kick panel, and they are actually in pretty good shape right now. It won't be long before that rust eats its way up. Another probably 2 or 3 years it'll fall off too, but no point in doing anything right now. Okay, going over it one more time. This is the bad ground that I found down the left kick panel. I checked the one on the right kick panel. It looks okay. The rust line's probably a good 2 or 3 inches away from it, so there shouldn't be any problem there for hopefully a few years, if ever. This truck is a rust bucket, and sooner or later everything's going to crap out on it, but we're only looking to get some service out of it for the customer. And like I said, we took and relocated the ground to right there after we took it loose from down there. And now we can switch the key on. If I can stick it in there. And it cranks up with no problem, and all the gauges work. Looks like it is about out of fuel though. I guess it's just time to put this one back together.